I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more, as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
In every professional industry, there are a few bad apples who unfortunately have the ability to spoil the reputation of the group. In the legal industry, when an attorney fails to adequately represent his or her client, he or she may be liable to the client for damages under a theory of negligence, otherwise known as legal malpractice. Legal malpractice is the failure to provide a professional level of service expected of a licensed attorney. Some examples of legal malpractice include a failure to communicate with a client, a failure to properly manage a case, a failure to make appropriate or timely filings, or in some severe cases, client abandonment. If you feel your attorney is not living up to your expectations, you should first contact him or her and explain your frustration. If your attorney is unresponsive, you may consider speaking with either your state bar representative or with another attorney who accepts legal malpractice cases.
Hello, world. How is everybody today? Welcome again to Aim to Purpose, the radio show, and I am your host, Louise Hicks.
And I am your co-host, Kenan Mason, and as always, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone listening and watching Aim to Purpose, the radio show, as we bring you another live broadcast right here at Global Voice Broadcasting, and we have a great show for you today, as our topic is, as you just saw in the clip, legal malpractice. How and when to sue your lawyer. And James P. Wohl will be our guest later on in the show.
Yes, and we just wanted to share that clip with you up front so you can just get a taste of what's to come.
That's right.
About how and when actually to sue your lawyer. And this is an intriguing subject matter, I believe.
It's very different for radio.
It's different.
Most people don't know that they can sue their attorney.
And really, they don't. A lot of people don't know. They don't know that they can sue their attorney. They don't know that they can take their attorney to the bar. And I can shed some light on that because I have taken an attorney to the bar. And guess what? I won.
Yes.
This was a few years ago, and but before we get into that, and we're going to bring on our special guest a little bit later, we want to share some information with you because we've been watching. I mean, it's been so much going on this week.
That's right.
And has anybody watched the Belief series yet on OWN Network, Oprah Winfrey Network? And also there's a documentary going on the internet, The Truth About Cancer, a global quest.
Yes.
And I've been watching it, and I tell you, it's been awesome. So I'm going to let Ken share a little bit about what's going on, too, because, it's National Breast Cancer Month?
Yes, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But first, we went to a pre-screening. Here in Los Angeles with Dr. Michael Beckwith and Ricky Byers-Beckwith at their spiritual center, which is Agape International Spiritual Center. Many of you around the world may have heard of it or heard of Dr. Beckwith. He was in the docu-film, if you will, called The Secret, which is world-renowned at this point. And we went to a pre-screening of the 7-part series called Belief, and which showed 3 different scenarios. We saw the first episode days before it aired on television, which was last night.
Right.
And we got to see the first episode, and it was really interesting how people around the world see life, how they live life, and how their belief system molds and shapes how they live their life. And we got to see 3 totally different scenarios from 3 totally different walks of life, and got to witness what their belief structure is, and how they use it to live their daily lives, and how it's been a blessing to them, but first how it was a curse to them, not knowing how to maneuver through life with the belief systems that they grew up with. And we got to we got a chance to see how they resolved their own inner challenges through the way that they believe. And if you've ever been to Agape Spiritual Center, it's a melting pot of people from all walks of life.
It really is.
All walks of life.
It's beautiful. People from all walks of life. It's like my logo is butterflies, and I look at butterflies being so beautiful because they are so distinguished and unique with the different colors and
Right.
how they fly away. They're so free. And if you haven't gone to Agape Spiritual Center, and if you live here in the Los Angeles area, or if you come to the Los Angeles area, by all means, go.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience because we did get to see beliefs from different perspectives on life, and how people, when I was a little girl, we used to sing this song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Going to Let It Shine."
Right.
And it really, the beliefs of different people is so interesting because it comes from within. Everybody
Yep.
has their beliefs, and even though you may be conditioned one way, as you get more awareness and become more consciously aware of your surroundings and what is going on in other parts of the world, it really opens up your mind and your heart to be more receptive and to embrace others on how they believe.
That's right. And hold no judgment on how they choose to believe. Because in a free world, you're free to believe whatever you want, whether you have positive or negative outcomes in your life. You have a free mind to think freely. And so we got to see how those dynamics work in various aspects of people's lives. So it was very fun and very insightful at the same time.
Yes, it really was.
And so moving on to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, over the last couple of weeks, I made a challenge to the entire world, the entire Aim to Purpose universe, all listeners, acquaintances, friends, family, because we are acknowledging Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the month of October. And as I said last week, I found out that also in South Africa they acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month, as it continues to give women around the country and around the world the notion that there is no cure for breast cancer. First, I want to say that I am no doctor, especially since we're talking about law today. I have to make a disclaimer because I am no doctor. I am not a medical doctor. I never went to medical school. I have no medical schooling background whatsoever. I do not practice conventional allopathic medicine. And I have to say this because of certain laws that or certain statements or labels that act as laws, such as the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, creating a law that states that only a drug can treat, prevent, or cure an illness or disease. And nothing else. Nothing else but the chemically synthetic drug can cure, prevent, or treat an illness or disease. The FDA created that. It wasn't passed through Congress, didn't go through the House, didn't go through the Senate. It was bought and paid for so you and I won't get true information on the efficacy of the products that they endorse, such as mammograms, such as chemotherapy, such as radiation, and such as surgery. So my challenge for everyone, again, and I'm very happy to say no to chemo challenge for various reasons. And the number one reason being that the base of chemotherapy is mustard gas, which has been used as a chemical, which has been used in chemical warfare in Worlds War I and II, and other various chemicals that were used in the Korean War and Vietnam. And there's physical evidence, because you see pictures, old pictures all the time of people's skins being burned and melting and things of that nature. It's because of these kind of chemicals that are injected, if you will, into the human anatomy. The next challenge, get true information about radiation. It's been well documented that there is no safe amount of radiation for the human body other than the radiation or rays from the sun. All of the radiation that you get through mammograms or MRI, CT scans, CAT scans, it's all artificial radiation through machinery, which means that it can have harmful or adverse effects to not only your cells, but the DNA within the cells. And it's been well documented. Also, the surgery, the perjury of cancer surgery. All surgeries due to cancer are about removing or purging the tumor away from the anatomy, when the tumor is actually the savior. The tumor is actually keeping you alive. So there is no reason for the anatomy to be sliced other than in a traumatic or emergency situation. Cancer is a symptom that has developed over time. So there's no rush to be sliced open through surgery to have the tumor removed when it's the very thing that's keeping you alive. And last, feel good emotions and live nutrition heighten innate intuition. Feel good emotions and live nutrition heighten innate intuition. The human mind has been programmed to believe that the human body is incapable of healing itself. We've been programmed when it comes to cancer to believe that there is no cure. We've been told since 1972 that there is a war on cancer, but the money that's been spent hasn't brought us a cure. It's been over 40 years, and we still have no cure in sight. Only treatments that are less harsh on the human body, but nonetheless, they're still chemical-based treatments, and they're being labeled as therapy. So, with this particular month being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, women must know, and men too, because we are getting more diagnoses of males having breast cancer as well, for a number of reasons that I can get into on another show. But breast cancer, the awareness of it has grown. It's worldwide. We see it all over television throughout the month of October. All the foundations, whether it's Susan G. Komen or whether it's the American Cancer Society, all of the foundations, National Cancer Institute, all of the foundations that bring in millions of dollars for research to, quote, find a cure. but we have no cure in sight according to allopathic medicine. However, when you start to travel abroad, you start to find that there are physicians and other healers that are curing cancer, or they're giving people the fuel or ammunition that's needed by the body so the body can heal cancer on its own, which is what we're all designed to do. All of our bodies have the capability of healing ourselves internally as well as externally. And we know this because if you cut yourself, your body automatically and innately goes into a survival mode to heal itself. It creates a covering or a shield, we call it a scab, and it shields the wound to protect it from outside invaders. This is what the body does. And it protects this wound until it is completely sealed, and then it magically falls off within a week or two. This is the magic of the human body externally. How many of us would be willing to do this same kind of healing internally, whether it be physical or non-physical, meaning healing of the suppressed emotions, suppressed traumas of the past? All of this holds negative energy, and negative energy is the perfect breeding ground for cancer of all kinds. Cancer is cancer, no matter where it shows up in the body. When you have a negative, or when you have an acidic part of the body, or a part of the body that's low in energy, that means it's in an anaerobic state, which means that there are cells that can easily multiply in an anaerobic environment. Once you reverse that environment and turn it into an alkaline energetic part of the body, that's when healing takes place. And when it comes to breast cancer, there are many lymph nodes in the breast area near the armpit. And these are the lymph nodes that are usually removed when there's a breast cancer diagnosis. The lymph nodes and the lymphatic system, all in itself as a whole, is the body's, I call it the body's inner bathtub, if you will, because it washes toxins out of the body. So there's an abundance of information out there about not only breast cancer awareness, but all cancers, whether it's breast cancer or we see prostate cancer is on the rise for various reasons. Uterine cancer is on the rise for various reasons. Ovarian cancer for various reasons. Colon cancer for various reasons. There's various cancers. Cancer can show brain cancer, brain tumors. We know that can be cured too. Stanislaw Brzezinski has cured many people of brain tumors through his protocol of anti-neoplastins. And he's been catching flack for decades on his findings of how the human body can heal itself. And so with that said, that's just more information that I can give you about how you can go about getting information about how you can heal yourself of not only breast cancer, but of all illness for that matter. So with that being said, we're going to talk to our special guest today, James P. Wohl, when we come back from a break.
And just before we go to the break, let's share, has anyone, hopefully you've been watching this documentary by Ty Bollinger.
Yes.
And since we're on the subject of cancer quickly, it's called The Truth About Cancer, a Global Quest.
Right.
And we hope you've been watching it. It's by Ty Bollinger. He has gone across the world interviewing medical doctors, MDs that is, acupuncturists, chiropractors, registered nurses, patients from all over the world. He's gone different places, and they have given information, tons of information
Oh, yes.
about how to cure cancer. And of course, if you're getting billions of dollars a year on cancer treatments and so forth, why would you want to cure it?
Right.
And so that's an issue of common sense that we really should be looking at. So I hope you're watching this documentary. It's on at 6:00 p.m. every night. I think they have episode 7 tonight.
7 is tonight, yes.
And it's on the internet, because according to what I understand, if I'm understanding it correctly, the television networks would not air it.
Oh, of course
And
not.
of course they wouldn't, because most of their advertisements probably come from pharmaceutical and
Yes.
drug companies.
Yes.
So why would they want you to know the truth about cancer and the various cures that they have come up with to help you to understand how cancer can be and is being cured? And there were patients on this documentary. It's a 9-night documentary, and tonight is episode 7. So go on the internet and find it. It comes on at 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that being said, let's take a commercial break.
Yes, we'll be right back with our special guest, James P. Wohl. Don't you go nowhere. This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
Hello, world. We are back. And once again, I know you all have been waiting for our special guest, because everybody wants to know this type of information. If you can sue an attorney, how do you go about suing them? And can you imagine an attorney suing another attorney? It's amazing. So let's go ahead and get our special guest introduced to you. So if you have any questions, feel free to call in at 1-323-522-5482.
Yes, from anywhere around the world, 1-323-522-5482. James P. Wohl is the principal owner and founder of the law office of James P. Wohl, located in Los Angeles, California. James is a graduate of Stanford University, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1962 and a JD degree from Stanford Law in 1963. James was admitted to the California and Hawaii State bars in 1964 and the New York State bar in 1969. He continues to practice law in all 3 states. James also received an engineering degree from Princeton University, where he worked in probability theory-based analysis for shielding of the Princeton Nuclear Accelerator. From 1978 through 1983, James served as a law professor at University of La Verne School of Law, where he taught property law and legal writing. He went on to become a faculty member at California Attorney and Paralegal Continuing Education seminars, including trial preparation, discovery, and trial practice procedures. Today, James is a member of the prestigious Martindale-Hubbell Legal Directory, and he specializes in a wide range of practice areas, including business and civil litigations, as well as legal malpractice. So he's in studio. Let's give a warm welcome to our special guest, James P. Wohl.
Thank you, James, for coming in to share this legal information. I know everybody's eager to know. First of all, some of us, maybe we need to know what an attorney is, what a client is. So let's just kind of start a little bit from scratch, and then we're going to take it from there.
Well, thank you very much. This was actually a lovely introduction, and I just scooted off the freeway to get here. I apologize for being late. I'm so used to listening to apologies in Los Angeles for people being late.
Right.
And I hate having to do it, but what I hate worst are bad lawyers.
Sounds good to me, and we know about that traffic out here in LA too.
Yeah.
So the question actually was, what is a lawyer? And to be a lawyer, you have to be a member of the state bar. And the State Bar of California, whether you're practicing in California or the State Bar in some other state, if you're practicing in another state, you have to become a member of the bar. And in order to become a member of the bar, you have to generally pass a bar exam.
Mm-hmm.
There's some states that let you become a member of the bar with reciprocity, but basically you have to be a member of the State Bar. So when you are looking for a lawyer, and you're trying to find a lawyer, one place you can look is the State Bar or your local bar association. Here in Los Angeles, for instance, if you want a lawyer, you can call up a legal referral service with the LA County Bar Association. They're very, very good. People there are very helpful. And but I hope you don't need a lawyer.
Right.
You know, one interesting fact that something you might find interesting is that there's about over 30 million people in the state of California, and there's over 300,000 lawyers in the state of California. If you do the simple math, that works out to one lawyer for every 100 people in the state of California.
Wow.
Now that's a scary figure.
Yes.
So you have a lot of lawyers. Some of them aren't practicing, and some of them are practicing. And we say practicing because it's an art. It's not a science being a lawyer. And once you start that science, you never stop learning. And the New York State Bar Association, the Hawaii Bar Association, and the California Bar Association, of which I'm members, all have continuing legal education, and you have to keep up with that if you want to keep your license.
Right.
So sometimes we have lawyers who are naughty boys and girls. We've got a lot of both sexes as lawyers. We have some very, very good lawyers. Unfortunately, out there are lawyers who don't necessarily do right by the clients.
Right.
And not doing right by the client is kind of a word of art. If we're looking at it as malpractice, malpractice means you haven't done something right. Well, that can be a simple thing. You haven't kept your computer clean, you haven't kept your floors clean, you haven't done something right. Malpractice is very specific. It means, generally speaking, that you've done something that lawyers in your community would find to be malpractice, that the general lawyers in your community would not do such an act. And I'll give you an example. One that comes readily to mind is when a lawyer misses a date. Some dates you can miss.
Right.
You shouldn't miss any, but some you can. But there's something called a statute of limitations that we have in our system of law. If something goes wrong somewhere, the law sets up a statute of limitations depending upon the nature of what was done that was wrong, who it was done to, and when it was done. For instance, with legal malpractice, you have generally 1 year from the date of the malpractice to file a lawsuit. As with anything else, when you're talking to a lawyer, there are ins and outs to this, because if you happen to be filing that lawsuit as a result of something that happened to you while you're at a state agency, for instance, you've tripped and fallen at a police station. For instance, you've been not treated well in a county hospital and fall out of bed. If it's a state agency, we have what's called the State Tort Claims Act.
Okay.
That gives you only 6 months to file a claim with the offending agency, getting an answer, and then filing your action. So there you have a statute of limitations of 1 year, which means after that year, generally speaking, you're cooked.
That's 1 year from the date of what, James?
From the date that the bad thing the lawyer did occurred.
Okay.
Right.
Easiest way to look at it is you have a 1 year statute of limitations to file a lawsuit if you have a problem with a lawyer. You have a longer statute of limitations if you have a problem with your car.
Right.
It may be 2 years. You have a longer statute of limitations if you're faced with a fraud action. It might be 3 years. So you have basic statutes of limitations, but I want to just concentrate on this attorney malpractice thing. Now, that statute of limitations is extended for the time after the lawyer does the bad thing that she continues to represent you. So if the lawyer continues to represent you, that statute of limitations may be longer.
Right.
But the thing you got to watch out for is that 1 year. Always think about the 1 year. And is it a client-attorney situation? We talked about what an attorney was, what an attorney had to do. What do you have to do to be somebody's client? Because in order to maintain a lawsuit against a lawyer for malpractice,
Right.
generally speaking, you got to be a client. Now, there's two kinds of client relationships you might have with a lawyer. And one way to look at it is informal and formal. An informal client relationship may be, I'll give you for instance, you're out to dinner with some friends. One of your friends has a lawyer show up, and you turn around to that lawyer and say, listen, I had a little fender bender the other day, and you proceed to tell him a story, and he proceeds to give you advice. At that point, there is an informal attorney-client relationship that has been built. If that advice is given privately, that means that whatever you discussed with that lawyer is subject to attorney-client privilege. There's another bunch of words.
Wow.
When you're a client and you have discussions with your lawyer, it's like having discussions with your priest and in many occasions with your spouse.
Right.
Or your doctor. Those are private. People can't force the other people to give information about those private discussions.
It's all in confidence, or
So
supposedly.
So
Okay.
you've created an attorney-client relationship informally. Does that mean then that if this person that the attorney has given information to, if that information turns out not so what they thought it was going to be, can they sue that attorney then?
You know, this is why they have all of these 300,000 lawyers running around in California. Maybe. Now, one would think, just from the rule that I stated, that if some lawyer gives you some bad advice on an informal basis, you can sue him. But suppose that advice he gives you is, yeah, it's okay for you to go out and shoot your wife. And you go out and shoot your wife and you blame it on the lawyer.
Right.
No, I don't think so, because you have to have what's called an element of reliance.
Okay.
A reasonable person has to rely on whatever the heck it is this lawyer told you. So if you, as in most situations, you ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer, you're not going to be able to sue.
To sue.
Right.
Now, it may be, though, as a lawyer, I would give lawyers advice to watch out what you tell people, how you tell them, and how careful you are with your fellow human being. I said at the beginning, I don't like bad lawyers. I grew up
Right.
in a family where we didn't like bad people. Bad means something inherently inside that's skewed, that's bent, that I wouldn't want my kids to be around.
Right. Right.
I don't sit in judgment on people, but I do like people who tell the truth.
Right.
Now, lawyers get a bad name because a lot of times lawyers find themselves in situations where, in order to make money, they may espouse, they may promulgate, they may speak the words that are bent like hairpins.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And people hearing that say, well, that's interesting. I'm not so crazy about that. I tend not to be crazy about it. My firm doesn't work that way. We stay on the right side of things. If I can't do work for somebody on the right side of it, he can go or she can go and find somebody else.
Stay away from it, huh? That's
Yeah.
the best thing. Now, what about formal relationship? How do you establish a type of formal lawyer-client relationship?
I thought you'd never ask.
Got to know the formal. We got the informal.
Okay. So what happens is you have a problem, and it's a problem that you can't solve easily yourself, whether it's a loan, maybe. That's a problem. You sign some papers and you don't know exactly what you signed. Whether it's a house you've bought and you got a pig in a poke. There's some hidden problem that was never disclosed. A marital problem, okay? And some people have reached the end of the road in those areas. So
Yeah, we have a lot of those in the United States.
a lot of them sitting right here. So what happens is, you have to get somebody out to speak for you.
Right.
If it's to file a lawsuit, there's specialized things, and you can get paralegals. You can get there's a thing called Legal Zoom
Right.
that'll do.
Right.
You
I've
can
seen
go
it.
in and get help doing things where you don't have to actually have a lawyer
Right.
do it, and all
It's
you
like
do
a virtual lawyer through a computer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of us using our common sense and working in a situation where we're getting square advice, in other words, from a recognized company or paralegal,
Right.
and using our own judgment in moving something forward. Sometimes it gets tougher than that, and we've all been through it. Most of us have been through it. I've been through it. I've had to hire lawyers.
Oh, yeah. I've been through it, too.
Yeah. You have to.
So you create that formal through what? Writing something?
Well, first thing you do is you find one. And I'd suggested before, sometimes if you don't have friends that have had the experience, sometimes there's guidance by plaques. They have these plaques, California's best lawyer. They have star lawyers of California. They have different companies sell plaques for $139 and a license to practice law, of course, from the
Right.
state bar. Ms. Lewis, you can be one of California's top lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not so good. You have certain companies that actually do peer review. They get reviews from lawyers and judges, and they kind of analyze lawyers.
Right.
I'm not going to mention the names of any of these companies,
Right.
but and you have the local bar services that are quite good, that will do introductions, or you got the yellow pages. You can go through. Lawyers have to maintain telephone numbers and an identifiable office in the state of California. You can look at the state bar. They have a list of all the lawyers. You can look by areas, etc. You find the names of some lawyers. You call one up. And you say, I have a problem. It's in the area of domestic relations. I'm having a problem with a husband, child, whatever it is, school problem. Can you help me? And the lawyer says, can you tell me a little bit more? You explain to the lawyer what happens. you get a feeling, just as you do in any other area of our lives, that this is somebody you want to talk to or you don't want to talk to. If you get the bad feeling in your stomach,
Let it go.
let it go. If you get a decent feeling, you say, take it to a logical conclusion, say, I'd like to call you back, and make a few more calls. So it's a, let's see. A lawsuit is an assembly line you get to run one time.
Right. Yeah.
You think about this. You manufacture a car.
That's right.
That's a big assembly line. It's all
Right.
kinds of bits and pieces go into it. It's the same thing with a lawsuit, whether it's a fender bender or domestic relations, a lot of information you're giving somebody in trading. So what you want to do is you want to get the best person in that assembly line.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can compare with the lawyers, number one, if it's an hourly based actual representation, where you're paying by the hour, you can compare prices. You can compare hourly. But in order to do that, you also have to compare the time that lawyer has been a lawyer, the degree of expertise the lawyer might have, a lot of things, and you make an analysis. Do that with a few lawyers, and you're going to come up with somebody who you say, you know what? I feel comfortable talking with this person.
Right.
You set up an appointment. Now, if you're going to go to a lawyer for an appointment, what are you going to take with you? My dad told me that. I said, Dad, what do people take with them to a lawyer's appointment? He said, everything.
Right. That's right.
Every email.
That's right.
Every
All of
telephone
it.
number. All of it.
Because you only have that one shot.
Exactly. And you want to show this lawyer
Everything.
everything. Here's the piece of paper that I signed. Here is the book of papers that I signed.
That's right.
Whatever it is. Here's the records of the dentist. Here's the records of the lawyer. Okay. So that's basically the process. You find somebody you're comfortable with. The next thing is, how do lawyers get paid? Do you want me to go through this a little bit? I'm going to be quick about it.
If you go through hourly getting paid, what's the best way? And let me ask you this first before you get to that. What's the best way to get paid? When you sue an attorney, are you suing them personally, or do all attorneys have to have malpractice insurance? Who are you suing?
How sharper than a serpent's tooth. That's excellent. Let me go back to, this, for a lawyer, everything is questions within questions, wheels within wheels. You said something. You said, does a lawyer have to have malpractice insurance? The answer is no, but the rules of ethics of the state of California require every lawyer to state in the retainer agreement that's signed, we're going to get to that in a second,
Okay.
whether or not the lawyer maintains malpractice insurance. Okay. Not to have it is an offense under the state bar.
Okay.
Not to have the disclosure. Okay. Also, if the lawyer loses the malpractice insurance within the time of representation, he has to notify the client right away.
Right.
So, some lawyers don't give you a written agreement. Are they supposed to? Under our rules of ethics in California, if it is anticipated that a lawyer is going to charge you more than $1,000, he has to have a written retainer agreement with you. Also, if a lawyer is going to be on a contingent basis, that's where he gets paid a percentage.
Right.
That has to be in writing.
Okay.
Okay. These are very important things. So, to be really clear, the lawyer has to make disclosure as to the malpractice insurance. Then you have a choice. If you want to hire a lawyer who's not covered by insurance, that's your choice.
Yep.
The lawyer has to have a written agreement with you if it's more than $1,000.
Right.
Okay. Now, certain cases are much more susceptible to what are called contingency or percentage-based fees, accident cases, because in the state of California, everybody's supposed to have insurance.
Right.
The lawyer knows that if the lawyer wins the case, the lawyer is going to be paid. So the lawyer will execute a contingent fee arrangement with the client. Generally, it will be approximately 40% of the recovery, of the gross recovery. That includes costs and everything. But it's negotiable. You can try negotiating it.
Right.
But it's generally 40%. If it's an insured claim like that, generally speaking, you can find a lawyer who's going to do it on a contingency for you.
Okay.
If it's an uninsured claim, or if it's a claim that is highly contested for other reasons, or if it's a claim that is going to involve a defense, the lawyer is going to want an hourly basis. Now, with an hourly basis, if a claim, for instance, settles quickly, you're going to pay a lot less than 40%. On the other hand, if you're not paying money out, sometimes you feel a lot better just to share the proceeds with the lawyer. It depends on the client.
And do they charge different, depending on the lawyer? Some hourly fees are different than others, right? So how would you, as a client, make a decision about if you do have to pay?
If you're going to have to pay hourly fees, you want to know what you're getting for your money. You want to know that anyway.
That's right.
Right.
You want to know that. You want to look at the state bar about this lawyer, see if he's had any problems with the state bar. But that doesn't tell the whole story. You want to know you're not buying a pig in a poke. It's much better to ask a lawyer, can you give me the names of some people that you've helped that I can call?
I see. Better to get references first.
Okay.
Okay. Can you give me the names of some people that you've actually gotten judgments for?
Yeah.
That you've helped?
Yeah. References.
Isn't that nice?
That's what employers want to know. When you want to get hired, they want to know about references.
And what are we doing? We're hiring lawyers.
Right.
Okay. So, let's say you've got this lawyer now, whether it's by contingent fee contract or by hourly contract. You got your lawyer. You've told your story. The lawyer starts the process. Something goes wrong. Now, here's, because one of your original questions was, when can you sue your lawyer? There's a couple of basic points you all want to look at. Basically, way down at the bottom of everything was that case a winner?
Right.
Because even if the lawyer has screwed up everything from the get-go, unless the case is a winner, you don't get anything when you sue him. Let me explain why. When you have a legal malpractice case, you have what's called the case within a case.
Right.
You got two cases. You've got the lawyer, and what do you have to prove about this lawyer? That he screwed up, and his screwing up caused you damage, and his screwing up fell within the boundaries of what's called malpractice. In other words, no reasonable lawyer in the community would have done something like that. Because the lawyer can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. They're human like everybody else.
Exactly. He can make mistakes in cross-examination when he gets to trial, make mistakes in doing any one of the myriad, so many little bits and pieces that form a lawsuit. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
But how will a client know that the attorney, since you're not knowing anything, how you going to know that he screwed up or she screwed up? How will the client know? And I know we're kind of running out of time. We're going to have you back, of course, because we didn't get you in timely. So how would, as quick as we can, but we will get you back if you're willing to come back so we can get more in detail about this, because a lot of people don't know. How would you know?
Here's
that
how
they
you
screwed
know.
up?
Well, the first way you know is, in common parlance, I lost my behind. Okay? I lost, so am I going to be a finger pointer or do I take the blame for it?
Right.
Okay. I'm big on taking the blame like this. But one then, many times, will go and talk to somebody else.
Okay.
And say, here's what happened to me. And that somebody else is going to have an opinion. We all have them.
Right.
And sometimes that somebody else is a lawyer. I get, in our office, we get a lot of telephone calls. I always try to help people. Many times I get calls from people, and I tell them, you don't have a case, or this sounds like there's something there. You ought to call the state bar. That kind of stuff, so that they can at least feel comfortable. But for instance, when the client tells you, when I'm a lawyer and the client tells me that the lawyer missed that date of the statute of limitations that we were talking about at the beginning.
Right.
The lawyer missed that date. The lawyer's supposed to calendar every date electronically in a little book, and keep that calendar. Miss that date of the statute of limitations, that is legal malpractice.
Wow.
Okay. Of course, the next step was the case worth anything? Because even if there's legal malpractice, and what happens sometimes to find out whether there's legal malpractice, you've got to go to an expert. Because sometimes the legal malpractice involves things like a lawyer's duty of honesty and integrity with the client. It's called fiduciary duty. We've all heard of that.
I've heard of that in real estate.
Fiduciary, yes.
Fiduciary duty, it means a duty of trust and confidence that you have. It's automatic with your lawyer. There's a fiduciary duty. It's automatic with your doctor. There's a fiduciary duty. It's automatic with a dentist. There's a fiduciary duty. It's automatic with a trustee. If you put your kid's money for college in trust and it disappears, that trustee has breached fiduciary duties. Very serious consequences.
That's right.
With lawyers, that serious consequence involves much more than just paying for the damage. If you've been in business for that lawyer, say with 8 years, big case I have pending, and you've spent $1 million in fees with that lawyer over the 8 years, you're entitled to get back all of the money that you've paid that lawyer during the period of time that he was your fiduciary.
Wow.
So you kind of should, too, go with your gut feeling. Now,
There it
we
is.
need to kind of wrap it up. But in your, just another quick question. When you're looking for an attorney initially, is there a place that you can go to find out if the attorney is a bad attorney? Do they keep records of these attorneys? Where can you go to find that?
Okay. The only place that I know about is you can Google,
Okay.
and you can Google the attorney's name, see if it comes up with some case that made the paper that he did not do well in. You can contact the state bar or contact the local county bar association and see if they can point you to where you can get the publicly available information as to what lawyers did wrong.
Great information. So just to kind of sum it up, I know we've run out of time, unfortunately, but that's okay.
We've gotten some vital
We've gotten
information.
very vital information, because I didn't know about that $1,000 that you had to have a written agreement. That's news to me, and I learned a lot. But give us some final thoughts. And are you still practicing, James? You got your law office. Tell us where your law office is, and if somebody needs a consultation, do you do free consultations?
Almost every lawyer who's worth their salt in the state of California, if you call up and you say, I would like a little time to ask you some questions about a case that I think I have. They'll give you free time.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, if it sounds interesting or if it sounds like you're somebody who really needs help, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
Most lawyers will invite you in, tell you to come in for 15 minutes or half an hour. Let me give you a couple of points. You talked about hourly fees. Hourly fees for lawyers can run anywhere from a couple of $100 an hour to $1,000 or more.
Oh, wow.
My office, like the offices of many, many lawyers in Los Angeles, is located in Century City.
Okay.
I often tell people that if you stub your toe in Century City, you will have trouble moving that foot for some time because it will be covered with lawyers' cards.
I believe it.
Anyway, there are very fine lawyers out there, and I think that everybody should take the time to call. Just call them.
And interview them. That was a main point you made. Interview your attorneys, people, and get that information. James has given some very vital information. So use it in interview and get the best information you can, and follow up. Google, like he said, he's giving you some vital information.
Yep.
And free consultation. So if somebody wanted to get a free consultation from you, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, they could, they would just call my office, and it's James P. Wohl, or call any reputable law office around, and just do your best to only answer the lawyer's questions. And I run a whole course on how you answer questions when you're a client.
Yeah.
But the lawyer's got very particular things that the lawyer wants to know. If the lawyer was going to want to help you, just answer those questions. Don't give a whole story.
Yes. Yes.
And that's great advice,
Yes.
everyone. Remember
Right.
that. And
Stick to the meat and the potatoes.
That's it. And that's the law offices of James P. Wohl, Wohl, and that's in Century City. You can look him up. Is there a phone number we could dial? They can dial?
Or a website?
A website?
It's 310
Uh-huh.
557
Uh-huh.
2349. I'm sorry I'm laughing. As somebody once said, I've never done anything like this before.
Nah.
I don't. We keep a very low profile. We've had some wonderful clients.
Got you. And this is a very seasoned attorney, as you can tell.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Been practicing, has a various practices in various areas. So with that being said, we hope we can get him back. Thank you so much for coming in, shedding some light on how to sue your attorney if you need to. Hopefully you won't have to if you get a good one and follow the procedures that he has laid out so eloquently for us. And with that being said, we will see you all next week. And as closing, always, your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Until next week.